And a major part of this scheme is a fund called the Ministry of Finance Incorporated Real Estate Investment Fund. That's MREIF. So if you Google MREIF online, you get all the information you need. As the name implies, it is sponsored by the Ministry of Finance Incorporated and managed by ARM Investment Managers. And I have with me today the Lagos Regional Head of ARM Investment Managers, Raphael Emeyonu. Glad to have you here.
Good afternoon, Hilary. Thanks for having me.
And so I want to start with the fund that ARM manages, right? It's funded by the Ministry of Finance Incorporated and managed by ARM Investment Managers. Now, what is the size of this fund and how is it beneficial to Nigerians?
Okay, it's a private sector-led but federal government-backed initiative. As the fund managers to the Ministry of Finance Incorporated, just like you mentioned earlier, it's a 1 trillion naira project. So which means that we're committed to giving out mortgages to Nigeria to the tune of 1 trillion naira. So what we're trying to do, or what we've started doing early this year, I think about second quarter this year was when we kicked off the initiative, is to provide low-cost, long-term mortgage to Nigerians at a single interest rate of 9.75%. 10% equity contribution is required from the individual, and the tenor is as long as 20 years, depending on when retirement sets in. So that's essentially what we're doing at the moment, and we've been able to disperse to quite a number of Nigerians, and we're hoping that more Nigerians will come on board and embrace the initiative and make it a huge success.
Do you have the number of Nigerians you've been able to disburse to? Is there any figure we can work with?
At the moment, I think we've done close to approximately 400. Approximately.
Okay, now let's talk about the criteria. I mean, you've talked about the tenor, 20 years, 10% equity contribution from the person who is buying, and single 9.75. So first of all, clarify something for us. Before we read some things about 12% and now it's 9.75. Can you clarify for the Lagos resident listening what exactly is it, what's the interest rate, and at the same time, what are the criteria to get this? Can a 60-year-old access it?
No, a 60-year-old can access it because a 60-year-old obviously could be retired, and a 60-year-old, if you're looking at 20 years to pay back, that's like 80 years. So obviously a 60-year-old can access it. So initially we started at 12% when we launched early Q2 this year. But we also, the whole idea is to make it affordable to Nigerians, and it's a new initiative, right? And we feel that to make it success as much as we want it to be, then we need to be able to target that single interest zone. So what we then did was at some point, I think it was last month or thereabout, that we had to then agree on bringing down the rates to 9.75%. So for all those that have taken it at 12%, there's a restructuring going on with their loan, and they would be paying back at 9.75 as we speak.
So what are the first practical steps to accessing this mortgage? And you've not particularly touched on the criteria. So if at 60 I can't, what age range, what do you look at when you want to disburse this mortgage?
If you have 20 years to retirement, it's open to you. If you're a Nigerian living in Nigeria and you're a Nigerian living in Nigeria, or you're in the diaspora, it's open to you. If you have a verifiable source of income, it's open to you. If you can pay the 10% equity contribution, it's open to you as well. If you have an RSA, retirement savings account, with a PFA, and you can't pay the entire 10% out of pocket, you can access the portion of your retirement savings account that is set aside for mortgage. You can access it from there and be able to pay your 10% equity contribution. So I think essentially those are the key things. The other things that are also important would be when you then move to the stage of the eligible financial institutions that we're working with, because they will also demand for some documents. I think one of the things that is also important is you should be able to identify, because one of the things that is interesting about the project as well is that it's any home of your choice in any location of your choice.
Any home of your choice, any location.
Maximum you can access is 100 million. Now this doesn't mean that you must access 100 million, but if you're able to, I mean, looking at the eligibility criteria,
20 years as well, it doesn't mean that it must be 20 years. So
no,
if
it doesn't mean it
10
must be
years
it
to
mu-
retirement.
no.
I can take my mortgage for
Absolutely,
10 years. Yeah.
absolutely. It doesn't mean it must be 20 years. So if you don't need to take the entire 100 million, as long as you pass the eligibility criteria, and you would, from the eligibility criteria test, you would figure out how much you can, the price of the house that you can afford. It could be 65, it could be 35. I mean, we found such situation in the north, especially. So depending on what you can afford, right, you can take that. Now, the interesting thing is, any house of your choice in any location of your choice. It doesn't have to be in Lagos. It doesn't have to be in Abuja. It doesn't have to be in Port Harcourt. It's everywhere in the country, wherever you find a home of your choice. Today, what we've done is we have a site where, because one of the things that the project is also trying to do is to bring together the home suppliers who are developers, and then the homeowners who are on the demand side, is to try and connect those two together. So what the platform has also done is to encourage developers to upload their products, their projects, on the website that we've created, which is www.emrif.com.ng. Now, if you go onto that site, you carry out the eligibility test. It shows you from the results how much worth of home that you can afford, and then it then shows you the pictures of the homes that meet that price, right? And then you make your choice from there, and then you're then able to demand for inspection or offer letter. After that is done, then you proceed to the eligible financial institutions that we're working with. We have about 10 at the moment that we're working with, and they then demand for, because we rely on their risk criteria platform, so they then demand for certain documents. And from what we've seen so far, within a month, disbursements are done, to the sellers of the homes, and then you're able to move into your home.
Do you have a list of these eligible
financial institutions? Like I mentioned, about 10 of them: Access Bank, Stanbic IBTC.
We'll find them on your website, right?
Absolutely.
Your website again, the website?
www.emrif.com.ng.
That's Emrif,
MREIF.com.ng. Correct.
And you mentioned that the fund provides mortgages for completed properties. I mean, developers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but how do you vet and verify these properties to ensure that home buyers are not ripped off?
So the interesting thing again is
fraudulent developers.
Oh yeah. So the interesting thing again is you can bring your own property. You don't have to rely on those properties on the website. You can bring your own properties, take the required pictures and upload on the site and get an approval, right? And then you can proceed by getting the offer letter and then proceed to the EFIs.
Yeah, but is there any mechanism put in place to ensure that the developers that come to you, okay, let me give a scenario. There are properties on your website, but let's assume I am a developer and I want to build a building with let's say 10 apartments. Can I come to you and access money to build this so that Nigerians can get go through Emrif to buy those properties? How does it work with developers?
That's as a developer, right?
Yes, as a developer.
So for developers, what the program is doing for developers as well is to support them with what we call offtake guarantee, up to about 40% of their development. Now that backing is what they take to the bank to be able to access construction finance. The program itself does not offer construction finance, but the banks do. I mean, they've been doing that. But what the program does to support developers is to provide that offtake guarantee. So that sort of builds a bit more confidence in their engagement with the banks. And then it sort of also helps them to reduce the time frame of which they have to pay back that finance to the bank as well.
Now, does that now have, what impact would that have on their selling, the price at which they sell to the buyers? Would they be allowed to fix the prices?
Absolutely, they fix their prices, but again, we rely on the risk framework of the banks, we are fund managers. We're not into. So we rely on the risk framework of the bank. So the banks, over the years, have been issuing mortgages to individuals, right? So they know what is required to ensure that individuals are not ripped off. So that's what we rely on, and they carry out that process, the rigorous process. And like I said to you, we've been successful with over 400 Nigerians. So far. So it's an interesting program.
And from my discussion with you so far, it looks like you talked about the potential buyer uploading a picture online. What about a new development? I want to buy from scratch. I want to build from scratch. I want to buy my land and build. How do you come in?
So if I understand that question very well, Hilary, you're asking if the program supports bare land, purchase of bare land.
No, not bare land. Before we come to bare land, yes, okay, that is on one part. Does it support purchase of bare land, and does it support? Let's assume I want to build, and I want to buy land somewhere in Lagos, say Apapa, Kokomaiko, wherever.
Hey, you're buying bare land.
And have no. Wait. I look at the land. I want to buy and build. Mm-hmm. I bring an architect, bring all the building professionals that I need. Bring you my, what's it called, bill. I'm not exactly sure what it's called. Bring everything to you. You know how much this will
bill
cost.
Of quantity.
Bill of quantity.
So the simple answer I can give is that the program supports built homes.
Only built homes.
Built homes, yeah. So you just have to ensure that it's built, and that's what you're going for. So even if you're bringing your own property, it has to be a built home.
If I already built my own property.
No. So if I'm buying from Hilary, for instance, Hilary is not a developer. Hilary might not have the time to go and upload that single property on the site. So I can approach Hilary that I like this house you said you wanted to sell, and then I go through Emerif, and then I'm able to purchase it.
And okay, now let's talk about, let me go back to what you mentioned earlier about being able to access the portion of my pension fund that supports mortgage. Is there any, I read somewhere it's just up to 25% of what I have in my pension fund. Is that correct?
Yes.
Just 25%?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that means I can actually get into this program without dropping any amount of money.
Absolutely. So if your 25% meets the equity contribution,
so
10% equity
PFA
contribution,
can actually just supply the 10%.
Absolutely.
And any of the EFIs
will then match it up with the balance.
Oh, okay. That sounds interesting. And what if I want to do this if there's a couple that wants to do this?
So they can come together. Interestingly, I think what that also does for such people is that it helps them to increase the equity contribution. It also provides an advantage in a way that it shortens the time, the payback period time. They can't do more than a property at a time. So I think coming together helps them in terms of contributing to high equity, and then it shortens the time as well for them to pay back.
Yeah, okay. Even though this is meant for home ownership, what if I decide to get a house or a home first, and then I put it up for commercial use, say an Airbnb? Can I come back and access mortgage to buy another one?
So the program only allows one mortgage at a time. It's your home. I believe that whatever you want to do, you can do. It's your home. It's your, whatever but the program allows one mortgage at a time. Yeah.
No more than one.
And it encourages that it has to be home ownership,
So let's create a scenario right now. I take the 100 million naira. How much, with 100 million naira specifically, how much would I need to pay monthly for a 20-year mortgage? So that means we have to do some mathematics here, because I know
Absolutely.
So many people are confused when they start calculating interest. So can you help us with some mathematics?
So that should be roughly about 960,000
naira a month.
A month, yeah.
Oh, that means okay. And for that now, how much would I need to be earning for me to be able to access 100 million naira?
I think you shouldn't be exposed to more than 33 point, if I remember correctly what the rule says, 33.3% of your income every month. So I think 960 times 3 should then give us that figure. Not sure I have that mental I can arrive at that
roughly
figure.
3 million naira, right?
Thereabout.
3 million naira, right?
Thereabout.
Okay. So just a maximum of 33% of your monthly gross or nets. Take home.
That I don't know. Probably. I think it's. I don't know whether it's net or gross.
Okay, so that's something
But it's
we'll need to
monthly,
figure out.
yeah.
If it's gross or net, or net rather. So let's in January 1, 2026, the new tax laws will become effective. Right? Does this in any way give any sort of tax relief if I access this mortgage? Is there any sort of tax relief attached to accessing this?
So what I would say is, I think because of the introduction of the tax reform bill, my advice to Nigerians is that seek the advice of a tax expert, to be able to, because I haven't really seen any negative impact, on this initiative, but I'm not a tax expert. So I would advise that Nigerians should, seek a tax expert to share their thoughts on how this affects mortgages generally. But I haven't really seen any negative impact on mortgages in Nigeria with regards to the tax reform bill.
No, I'm not talking about anything negative. I'm talking about positivities. Like, does this grant me any sort of relief? I mean, let's put it this way. If I run a business, right, and I buy equipment for my business, the government gives me a sort of tax relief over the lifespan of that property, as long as it's beneficial to my business. I can take a look at the lifespan and then divide by the number of years, and then take advantage of amortization, more or less. Is there any benefit to me taking on a mortgage if I take a mortgage? So the government knows that I earn 3 million naira a month and I'm spending almost 1 million naira paying back the mortgage and interest. Will there be any sort of tax relief for me?
It's safer to speak to a tax expert.
Okay. Now, what happens to defaulters?
Okay, so again, different banks have ways by which they manage this occurrence, right, in issuing mortgages. And like I mentioned to you, today we have about 10 EFIs, eligible financial institutions, that we work with. So when it gets to that point, I think the banks have ways by which, they resolve this. So this is also a conversation that each individual might specifically want to have with each of the EFIs that, they intend to work with at the end of the day. So that's really about it on that side.
So does it mean the risk is taken on just by the EFIs? What are the risks for you as the fund manager?
So
what's your relationship? So let's put it this way. What's your relationship with the EFIs? How does that relationship work? And who takes on the risk when there's a default?
So our role is to manage the fund. Like I mentioned to you, it's a 1 trillion naira fund, which is raised by, some part of it is contributed by Murphy. Other parts are contributed by private sector in the country today. So all we are meant to do is to manage the fund and ensure that Nigerians access the mortgage at 9.75%, and then returns as well are delivered to these investors that have put together the fund. Because we are not, we're not a bank that disburses mortgage. We're just fund managers and want to keep to that role. Now they understand the disbursement of mortgages because it's something that they've been doing over the years, and they have a risk framework, to ensure that this is a success at the end of the day. So that's why they handle that bit of it, and they have ways by which it is done and to ensure that it's successful. So it's better that, we work together, but we are able to, apportion that division of labor to ensure that everybody focuses on where they're good at. So we're not taking on too much responsibilities in the area that we're not specialized in. So yes, they do that, and then they're also able to ensure that it's a success at the end of the day.
And what are some of the other challenges that you anticipate in scaling this fund?
Well, I think the most important thing is for Nigerians to have this information, tap into the opportunity as quickly as possible. It's not a lot of fund. It's just 1 trillion naira, and we're a population of about 200 million. So the earlier we're able to put the information out there, the earlier Nigerians are able to see the opportunity and they're able to leverage on it very quickly, then I believe that, we can all write this history together.
So approximately how many Nigerians are you hoping to reach?
Approximately.
Yeah, I know you said you reached 400 so far. So approximately how many do you hope to reach?
As many as possible, Hillary. I can't give the numbers at the top of my head, but I mean as many as possible. Because the important thing is that it's a significant economic challenge. Nigerians really want to own their homes, but because there's no access to funding, affordable funding, long-term, low-cost funding, it's been a major challenge in the economy. And that's really the problem that Murphy and ARM are trying to solve today. So as many Nigerians as possible that we're able to reach, that we're able to solve this problem for, is really our target.
So I think we have just about 2 minutes to wrap up this discussion. But so I want to ask, with this fund, right, ₦1 trillion, what happens? Are you hoping to raise another fund when you max this out? Are there plans for that?
Yes, we hope to. It depends on how successful this is, which we hope that it will be successful. And if there's more demand by the time we max out the ₦1 trillion, absolutely, we will continue with the initiative. I mean, that's the plan of the federal government as well. To ensure that this is successful, and then we're able to also get more Nigerians on board. So yes, it's something we're looking forward to.
So in measuring the success, what metrics are you looking at to measure the success? So can you know, obviously, the number of people who are able to access the loan and the mortgage. What other metrics are you using to gauge the success of the fund?
So we want this to be a household name. We want Nigerians to be able to say that, in my time,
which means you really should
Murphy and ARM contributed to.
We should be running some ads on Nigeria Info. I mean, we reach a lot of people. Come and run ads, let people know about it.
That's what you and I are doing just now. No, that's what you and I are doing right now.
ARM isn't paying for this. You need to come and pay. So we run ads. So I mean, this is just 30 minutes. So we run ads consistently every day, and then
I think we have ads running.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe we have ads running on Nigerian Info as well. But I guess that's part of what we're doing as well at the moment. So.
Oh, that's interesting. And so to wrap this up, just take my listeners again through the process. I want to access this in less than, I don't know. I don't think we have 1 minute right now. But let's see what you can do. How do I access this?
Okay, so there's a platform called www.mrif.com.ng.
You are listening to your number one station for talk.
99.3 Nigeria Info.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk. Welcome back to your number one talk, news, and sports station. This is Nigeria Info.
Okay, so let's just wrap up on today on the Broad Street Drive. So take us through the process, right? If I'm a young man, I have a job, a stable job, I make some money, and I want to own my own home, I come and drop my own 10% equity contribution. I mean, what's the process? Take us through the process, through everything.
So there's a platform called www.mrif.com.ng. You go onto that platform, go onto the site, register, you take the eligibility test. From the eligibility test, you proceed to where you can see the pictures of the homes that have been uploaded by different developers. If you don't find a home of your choice in any location of your choice from those pictures, you're allowed to search for your own home of your choice, and upload that, the pictures that you'll be advised on of that home that you can take, and then upload that on the platform. You get an approval, you get an offer letter. Once you get the offer letter, you proceed to the EFIs. There are 10 of them that we're working with at the moment. You'll see the list right there, mortgage, homes, as well as commercial banks. You proceed to the EFIs. They give you a list of what is required for them to disburse the mortgage to you. And then, all things being equal, within a month, the mortgage is disbursed to the seller, whether it's a developer or the individual that you're dealing with. You can also walk straight to any of the EFIs as well. and ask them about the MRIF program, and they will also explain to you what the process entails.
Thank you so much for your time. It's been wonderful discussing with you, Mr. Raphael Emeyonu.
Thank you, Hillary, for having me.
The head of Lagos region for ARM
Business Development.
I don't. You said business. Come again.
Business Development Regional Head.
Ah, no, I got it. Business Development
Lagos,
Regional Head.
Lagos,
yeah, for ARM Investment Managers.
Correct.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
On the show today. So Lagos, there you have it. Take advantage of this and own your own home.
Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk. 99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk. 99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk. 99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info.